Good morning, everyone. I, on behalf of Department of Physics, Tripura University, heartily welcome you all to the inauguration program of the Faculty Development Program under the scheme of AICTE Training and Learning Academy on Progress on 2D Materials. The program will be of 5 days, comprising of 14 renowned lecturers of the country. Department of Physics, Tripura University have been tirelessly organizing seminars, workshops, webinars time to time. FDP on progress on 2D materials has added another count in it. Now, moving towards the inauguration session, I would request Dr. S.A. Hussain, coordinator of this FDP program, to kindly deliver his welcome address.
Good morning. Am I audible? Okay. So good morning, respected Professor Arkenath, Dean Faculty of Science, Tripura University, resource persons from different institutions, participants from different parts of the country, my esteemed colleagues, and my dear students. As the coordinator of the program, and on behalf of the Department of Physics, Tripura University, I welcome you all to this faculty development program. We are going to organize faculty development program on progress in two-dimensional materials, which will continue till 8th October of this month. Last August, we organized another faculty development program on fundamentals of novel material. And that was on elementary level, and this present one is on advanced level. Due to their outstanding physical and chemical properties, in contrast to their bulk counterparts, 2D materials are very interesting to the researchers. Although research in 2D materials started few times back, but inspired by the unique optical and electrical properties of graphene, one of the most interesting 2D layered materials, as well as their hybrids, have been intensively investigated in recent years, driven by their potential applications mostly towards nano and molecular electronics. Professor Jaim and Novoselov were awarded a Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 2010 for their groundbreaking experiments on the two-dimensional material graphene. At present, two-dimensional materials is a hot topic for research aiming their potential applications towards nano as well as molecular electronics. So I strongly believe that the deliberation by resource persons on different aspects of 2D materials ranging from introduction to the application will help the participants to enrich their knowledge in this emerging area of research. This will also may help the participants to formulate their future research plan. So I request all the participants to attend all the sessions and interact with the resource persons as much as possible. About the present program, 112 faculty members have registered for this program. Like earlier program, as per the guideline of AICTE, we have to record the daily attendance, and after each session, we shall collect the attendance through Google form. So kindly please respond to this. Again, as per the instruction of OTOL AICTE, there should be an assessment test. So we shall arrange 1 or 2 MCQ based tests through Google form during the end part of the program, and the test will be based on the topic of the lectures by resource persons. I hope this faculty development program on progress in 2D materials will be fruitful and beneficial to the participants. I would like to thank AICTE for providing grant to organize 2 faculty development programs in this year. Also, I thank my colleagues, staffs, research scholars of the departments and Tripura University Authority to help to organize this program in different ways. Once again, I welcome you all, especially the resource persons and participants. Without your active cooperation and participation, this faculty development program would not be possible. So thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ascension, for highlighting the key aspects of the program. Moving ahead, I would like to request our resource person of the day, first resource person of the day, Dr. Minal Pal, Senior Principal Scientist, CSIR, CGCRI, to utter some words about the program. Sir. Dr. Pal? Dr. Pal, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Ashad?
Yes.
Ashad?
So I
Yes, please.
Can you hear me? It is my turn or it will later on?
Minalda, please.
No. Somebody else is also
Yes,
saying.
Minalda बोलते दो.
No. Somebody else is also saying. I think. Hello.
Please.
Okay. May I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, everybody. Respected dignitaries, resource persons, my dear colleagues, and also my dear students, those who are attending as a senior member. This is a very good faculty development program which is organized by Tripura Physics Department of Tripura University. In fact, as I know, Tripura University used to organize this kind of faculty development program, seminar, workshop, international conference, everything on regular basis. Probably last month or so, they had organized another faculty development program. So in that sense, Department of Physics in Tripura University is really very vibrant. Though it is it's a university and central university, it's not that much big. But activity-wise, Department of Physics is doing very well, as I understood, because I am very much involved with Department of Physics activity at Tripura University. So regarding today's topic, as Professor Hossain has already mentioned, this 2D material is really very fantastic, and they are supposed to do the change everything. In fact, it is expected that 2D material will bring a sea change in our society. This 2D material is also kind of nano material, as you know, because it's two-dimensional, so third dimensional is restricted, and they are the most significant and cutting-edge research of nowadays scientists, and scientists are expecting that a lot of new things will come up, in particular in the area of electronics, then in the area of thin film and foldable device, and many other things. So I must say that this organizer, particularly people from Department of Physics from Tripura University, they have chosen a very good topic also, which is the need of the day, and which is very much required for the faculty, those who are in colleges or different universities. Maybe they are not getting that much scope, but if they are able to attend this kind of program, from that program, with the help of resource person, they can understand what is going to attend, or what is happening, what is happening in this area for this cutting edge research, and what is going to be developed based on this kind of 2D material. I must say that 2D material is really a fantastic thing. In fact, in our laboratory also, one of our activity is based on this 2D material. And this 2D material actually categorized differently. It's a kind of subgroup of nanomaterial, as you can understand. It is a subgroup, but it is different because 2D material has a lot of different things than pure nanomaterials, nanoparticle, or nanostructure. And they are really very, very thin. I will give all the details in my lecture. So For the time being, I must say that I must thank again Tripura University for doing this kind of activity and selecting particularly this kind of topics related with 2D materials. So thank you everybody, and thank you organizer for giving me the scope to say something in this August gathering. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Your words of wisdom always have been inspiring for us. Thank you. Now, I would like to request our chief guest of this session, Professor R.K. Nath, Dean, Faculty of Sciences, Tripura University, to kindly deliver his speech. Professor Nath. Dean, sir. Professor Nath, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi,
Yes, sir,
I'm
you
very
are
much
audible,
here.
sir.
Just give me. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. Good morning, respected resource person participants from different parts of country, faculty members of Department of Physics, my esteemed colleagues, and my dear students. On behalf of the Tripura University, I welcome you all to the inaugural function of the Faculty Development Program on Progress in Novel 2D Materials, AICT Training and Learning Atal Academy Faculty Development Program. Physics Department, Tripura University regularly organizes seminars, conferences, workshops, refresher courses, training program, etc. Last August, also they organized a faculty development program on fundamentals of novel materials. I congratulate the faculty members of Department of Physics in this regard. This is one of the best department of our university in terms of academic and research output. According to Indian Research Information Network System, IncubeNet, Government of India, Department of Physics, Tripura University, tops amongst the all department of Tripura University with respect to research profile. Participation in such faculty development program is moderately is mandatory for the faculty members of colleges and university for their promotion. So this type of program gives a very, the topic of the program testing materials have central role in all fields of engineering. They define through structure and device or interfaces to the physical and virtual world. The emergence of new materials catalyzes transformative advances in civilizations to an extent that eras of human development are often defined by the prevailing materials used in the engineered system from the stone, bronze and iron ages, aptly referred or polymorphies. In the physical world, all the materials have three dimensions. If the one dimension is nanoscale, resembling a large but very thin sheet like a 2D materials, it is often possible to reduce the thickness of the material down to a single atom. This is the material graphene and is where the most interesting interesting changes in properties occurs. Graphene was the first modern 2D materials to be isolated in 2004. Since then, there have been literally hundreds of other examples with an extensive range of properties. I wish this faculty development program on progress in novel 2D materials a grand success. Once again, I congratulate the Department of Physics and welcome all the participants and resource persons. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for being with us and letting us know the significance of the program so nicely. Now, I would request Professor Surya Chattopadhyay, Head Department of Physics, Tripura University, to kindly deliver his vote of thanks.
Good morning to everybody. On behalf of the Department of Physics, may I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go on, sir.
So, good morning. On behalf of Department of Physics, Tripura University, I want to convey my thanks first to Professor Arkenath, Dean Faculty of Science, and Chief Guest of the inauguration of AOTOL, AICT AOTOL sponsored Faculty Development Program on progress in novel two-dimensional materials organized by Department of Physics, Tripura University. Thank you very much, sir. I also convey my thanks to Dr. Syed Arshad Hussain, Associate Professor of the department and coordinator of this program. He has worked hard to arrange such program regularly. He also continuously arranging such FDP programs. Thank you very much, sir, for your effort. I want to convey my sincere thanks to all the resource persons all over the India who will deliver lecture at different sessions during this FDB program. I also want to thank to the faculty members of the Department of Physics and also the faculty members of various other departments who are present here. A large number of participants have joined the program. My sincere thanks to all of you for showing interest in the program. Finally, I am expressing my thanks to authority of the Tripura University for giving kind permission to arrange the program. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your words, for thanking all of the organizers and all. So, moving towards next, our first session of the day will be start from 12 p.m. Our first lecture will be given by Dr. Minal Pal. So, let me begin with a small introduction of Dr. Pal. Dr. Pal is working as Senior Principal Scientist at CSIR CGCRI. Right now, he is the leader of the ISO cell and FMDD. Before joining CGCRI, he worked in the University of Bardhaman and CMERI. Dr. Pal joined CGCRI at 2014. He has been awarded with many prestigious awards like STA Fellowship, JUSTEC of Government of Japan, Bharat Jyoti Award 2012, honored by Indian International Friendship Society. His main research interests are nanostructure, semiconductor gas sensor, multiferroic and magnetic nanocomposites, spintronics material, inorganic organic hybrid nanocomposites, etc. Dr. Pal has published more than 100 research articles in different reputed journals. He has given more than 50 invited talks, completed 9 projects, and 3 are ongoing. Total 7 number of PhD students have been awarded under his guidance. So, Dr. Pal, all is yours. You can start your session. Thank you.
Yeah. So, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible
And
and your presentation is also visible.
screen is clearly visible, na?
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Go on,
also
sir.
confirm me that whether my cursor is moving or not. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's moving, sir. It's moving.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. As you can understand, this is the first faculty development program, first lecture of this faculty development program on 2D materials. So, what I have planned that as this is the first lecture. So, I will introduce you about the 2D materials. I will just give you an overview, and I will not go into details of our activities on 2D materials. But okay, if time permit, I will show some of our activities on 2D materials. But basically, it will be an pedagogy type of lecture, so that my feelings is the audience, those who have participated, they can understood something about this 2D material. Those who are very expert on 2D materials, maybe for them this is a kind of preliminary lecture, so they can interact with me on our results if they have any interest. But for others, those who are newcomers in this area, particularly on the 2D materials, for them I will try to make it interesting. That's why I will start from the scratch, so that at least at the end of my lecture you can understand what is 2D material and why it is so important, and why people are doing giving lot of attention to this kind of material, and what is the future prospect of this material. So that is why I have selected this kind of topic. So it will include anything and everything related with 2D materials. So if I say that what is 2D material, so strictly speaking, the term 2D material came from the conception that it will be a single layer of any material. But in practice, in most of the cases, this is not single layer. It is better to say it's a few layer or multi-layer of any element or any oxides. If a 2D material comes from a pure element, means it's a 2D elemental things, then generally it will be end like N, E, N, E, N suffix. And if it is a compound 2D material, then its suffix will be like ANEN or IDE. So this kind of suffix. So from the suffix itself, you can understand that what kind of 2D material is, whether this is a elemental 2D material or it's a compound 2D material. All of them now exist, and scientists are working on different kind of 2D materials, both elemental and compounds type of things, to discover different kind of new and improved property, particularly in case of electrical, optical, electronics, thermal, this kind of mechanical, this kind of properties. But if you look at the history of this 2D material, I must say that few years back also, when we were research scholar, junior research scholar, that time also 2D term was not there, and that time basically this kind of film was also there. We say them that time very ultra thin film. So there were thick film, thin film, and ultra thin film. So that ultra thin film is nowadays basically converted to 2D materials. Particularly if somebody use, for example, in Tripura University, their faculty member use this Langmuir Volkert film. So they are also kind of in that process. You can prepare, even if not single layer, few layer is possible of any material. So that is also kind of 2D materials, and that was there for last several years. But that time we don't use this term 2D material. If we look into the history of this 2D material, you will find that in 1937, Peirce and Landau, they have suggested that there is no way, on crystallographic way, existence of 2D material. So you can understand in 1937, these world famous scientists, they have predicted that 2D material cannot exist so far crystallography is concerned. But still, this is the beauty of science and the energy of scientists. Nobody leave this area people tried to work hard on this area since then only, and ultimately in 1947, Walsh calculated the structure of single layer graphite. So that was the beginning of this 2D material, you can say. And in 1962, Hans Peter Boehm coins the term graphene, and in 1980, theoretical studies on graphene confirms that massless Dirac equation anomalous effect is possible by using this kind of 2D material. And ultimately, this confusion becomes clear when in 2014, Andre Games and Novoselov, they discovered this 2D material experimentally using Scotch tape method, the very famous Scotch tape method. I will discuss about that Scotch tape method also. So that is the new beginning of 2D material. Before that also, as I told, there was very thin film, ultra thin film, which is also kind of 2D material, but up to that time we did not use, or nobody used this term 2D material. Actually, this term is coined only. This graphene is coined in 1960, and ultimately lot of experimental theoretical studies has started after this discovery in 2004. Even the same group, they in 2005 only, they have shown that not only graphene, it is possible to prepare 2D materials on different chalcogenides and other complex oxides also. So that is the brief history about the 2D material. Now the questions may come that why we are that much interested about 2D material. So if you look into the this left hand side corner plot, you see this one. Participant, my cursor is visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look into this diagram, this is representative of a 3D material. Then this one is 2D material. This is 1D material, and it is 0-dimensional, which we call quantum dots, or which are basically nothing but very, very small nanoparticle. So now, if we consider the little bit of physics, if we consider the energy, this density of states with respect to energy, then you look at this figure. Y-axis is energy, and y-axis is density of states, and x-axis is energy. And you see the nature of curve. This is for 3D material. But when this 3D material will be 2D material, means one dimension among this x, y, z, one dimension will be restricted, which is there here. So you see that density of state nature is completely different. It is kind of step-slides. So that gives the different kind of electrical, particularly electrical, optical, and thermal properties for a 2D material in comparison with its same bulk counterpart. Even if we go for this one-dimensional, you see that again density of function changes, density of states changes in different way. And for quantum dot, which is 0-dimensional material, their density of state nothing but like this single straight line. So because of this change in density of state, conductivity of this material changes drastically and completely in different fashion in comparison with their bulk counterpart. And that's why 2D, as in case of 2D it is steps like 2D also give different kind of conducting nature, behavior than the bulk counterpart of same material. For example, if we handle a molybdenum sulfide bulk material, its conductivity will be different than 2D molybdenum sulfide. I will show them later. But just to say that because of this structural confinement, as one dimension is confined, the properties, particularly conducting properties like thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity, will be very much changed in comparison with their bulk counterpart. And there are some other beauties also of 2D materials. That's why people are nowadays so much interested. One of the interesting thing is you look at this diagram. This is energy diagram in case space. Here you see this. This is for a semiconducting material. This one is the conduction band. This is the valence band. You see the gap, and that can be tuned. That gap can be tuned. So from right hand side, if you come, this is for one layer material, this is two layer material, this is three layer material, and this is bulk material. If you look it carefully, you will find that this energy diagram is different, and so layer to layer. So what I mean to say, if you add on layer, means if you go on increasing the layer number, you can tune the conduction this band gap. That means you can tune their conducting property. So from one single layer to multi-layer to bulk, property can be easily changed. That's why it's a kind of band gap tailoring and kind of tailoring of conductivity. That is one of the important aspect of 2D material. That's why people are more interested on 2D material. And another important thing is, as you can understand, 2D material is nothing but theoretically it's a in fact experimentally also you can say it's a single layer material. So you can understand that the up and down of the single layer, there will be a lot of scope of include many things. That means you can functionalize many things, and the whole material is here kind of interface or surface. So there are a lot of scope of playing with surface and interface for this 2D kind of material. So these are the main things. That's why scientists are that much interested for 2D materials, and they believe that using this kind of 2D material, it is possible to create novel functionality and enhance functionality in comparison with the bulk counterpart. So if we conclude kind of things, then particularly for electronics things, till date it is silicon based, but in near future it will be 2D based. It's a kind of paradigm shift in this area, because in silicon based electronics, the materials are bulk, they are low scalable, they are very hard and brittle. But in case of 2D material, they are really ultra thin, they are flexible, they are very soft, they are transparent. So lot of multifunctionality can be created if we use the two-dimensional material of the same material. That is why people are that much interested, and already lot of application is coming up using this kind of 2D material. So it's a kind of sea change is coming for particular material. If you look at this material, this is a transistor at 1957. You can see how big this one. This is at 1957. Actually 47. Actually that time only electronics developed start to develop, and then it's developed very rapidly. So this was a transistor in 1947. This was first chip in 1961, and you see this one right hand side figure. This is the Core i7 transistor made by Intel. Only 22 nanometer is the dimension. So think about this 22 nanometer, even it's not submicron. So and till date, people are working on the same 2D material to make things much more smaller, so that ultimately your device becomes much more smaller. So it's a nothing but kind of miniaturization. If you think that during 1960, storing 1 kilobyte of data needs a kind of hard disk type of things, which is around the size will be around 10 by 10 size of a room. And nowadays you can understand that the tip of your pen can also store more than few terabytes. So that is the development. That is the development in the area of electronics and this storing things, and that is because of this development of new material we call nanomaterial, and precisely 2D material, which is also nothing but a new material. And in this case, two-dimensional is open and one dimension is restricted. So that has that is already changing a lot in electronics and this conductivity things, and it will create more change. It will bring sea change in near future only. So that is the important point for 2D materials. Now, if you look into various kind of 2D material, then you will find that 2D material, particularly for electrical point of view, 2D material can be insulator as well as 2D material can be superconductor. So starting from these, hexagonal boron nitrate, which is a insulator to this molybdenum sulfide kind of things. They are semiconductor. Also, this chromium oxide, they are half metallic. This graphene, which is the most important 2D material and nowadays most talked about 2D material. So that is the kind of semi-metal. Then vanadium oxide, vanadium sulfide, they are metal. And this kind of neodymium selenide kind of material shows this kind of superconductivity also. So by using 2D material of different type, you can complete the electrical spectra from insulator to superconductor. So that is also one important aspect. People are working on different kind of 2D material, which I have mentioned, starting from graphene to hexagonal boron nitride to molybdenum sulfide to this kind of new superconducting material like neodymium selenide. And if you look into their band gap, you see the left-hand side, this is the band gap of hexagonal boron nitride, which is more than 6 eV, which is truly an insulator. This is tensile metal chalconite. They have kind of this is like molybdenum sulfide. They have a band gap like 1 to 3 eV. They are semiconducting. Also, this is black phosphorus, which has very small band gap, which is between point something to 1 or 2 eV. They are kind of what I say, semiconductor or semi-metal kind of things. And this graphene is the perfect example of semi-metal. And in particular, this graphene, the band gap matches at K point. So you see that they have matched at that point. That is K point. That's why this semi-metal kind of properties come into graphene. It is you may understand. You may think that what is semi-metal? Semi-metal is its conductivity between metal and semiconductor. You can say for some time, but the beauty of graphene is it is linked in K point, so it gives huge conductivity. So this is the whole family of 2D material. It could be graphene family like graphene, hexagonal boron nitride. It could be chalcogenide based 2D like molybdenum sulfide, tungsten sulfide kind of things. It could be some oxides also, some oxides perovskite like this molybdenum oxide, tungsten oxide, all kind of layer material of some perovskite, AbO3 type of structure. So these kind of material can be made 2D. On principle, all the materials can be made 2D if we try. Particularly if we use some chemical or vapor deposition process. But the thing is, it is easier to make 2D material if it is a kind of layer structure. So that like graphene, like this molybdenum sulfide, they are layer structure. So it is easier for them to make them 2D material. Now regarding the properties of 2D material, this preparation of 2D material, there are various processes. But I will highlight only 3 processes which is mostly used by the researcher in laboratory and which has a potential for use in industrial case also. So I will give you brief description about these 3 processes. One is mechanical exploration, another is chemical exploration, and third one is chemical vapor deposition. These 3 processes is mostly used for making kind of 2D materials, as I have mentioned. And the first 2D material of this graphene, which was made by Andre Grimes and his team, that was they have used this mechanical explosion process, and by doing that they got Nobel Prize also, maybe in 2012. So I will only describe these 3 processes a little bit in detail so that you can understand how it is possible. And these processes are not so tough and not so costly also, particularly this mechanical explosion and liquid phase or chemical explosion. It does not need any sophisticated infrastructure or any costly things. These are very cheap. Anybody can prepare in the laboratory. So if somebody of you are interested to prepare in your laboratory, in your college or in your university, so you can start these 2 processes. Of course, this CVD, it needs a device. So it is nowadays not that costly, but still it needs some money. But for this mechanical explosion and chemical explosion, it is very, very cheap. It does not need any investment, and anybody can do. It does not need any infrastructure also. So I will give little bit about this in details. Like this CVD, as you can understand, this term CVD is chemical vapor deposition. This is nothing but depositing the atoms or molecule on a substrate. It is different than physical vapor deposition, because in physical vapor deposition we use that solid material, and in chemical vapor deposition we use gases. Particularly for this preparation of this graphene, we use methane gas and some inert atmosphere. So by using that gas, it is possible to prepare graphene, or you can say prepare 2D material using CVD. It is basically that gas will be vaporized and they will be deposited on a substrate which is placed in a cold place. So that is the thing. So the atoms or molecule will be deposited on the substrate one by one, and ultimately it will form the layer structure. So this is the CVD process, and this generally we use some kind of nickel copper kind of substrate, because they are easy to transfer. Otherwise also it is possible to use a glass or ceramic type of substrate also. So depending upon your use and depending upon the transferring of the material, 2D material, you can choose your substrate. This process has some advantage, also some disadvantage. Process is advantages is this is quality will be very highly pure, and it will be harder graphene in case of graphene, and the growth rate is also possible to make high, and it is reproducible. So these are the advantages. It has also a lot of limitations, like it needs high temperature, and also it creates a lot of toxic gases, and also uniformity is a question for this kind of CVD, because as you can understand, it is the deposition of atom or molecule one by one. So it can deposit somewhere a little bit more, somewhere a little bit less. So uniformity is a question. So that is about CVD. I will talk about little bit about this mechanical expression, which is the process used by Andre Geim and their team. So this is again very, as I mentioned earlier, this is very, very cheap and very easy process. It does not need any infrastructure. It does not need anything. Particularly for preparation of graphene, it needs only graphite and some Scotch tape, which we use for adhesive purpose. So one has to be place the Scotch tape on the graphite surface, and then it has to be peeled off. And once it is peeled off, generally many layers come out and it looks like shiny. So again, that Scotch tape has to be placed on another Scotch tape. So you have to basically make the layer thin by pressing and pressing. It's a repeated process, and ultimately this layer will be dark and non-shiny kind of things. Then you can understand that you have came up with a very, very thin, maybe 2-3 layer kind of things, graphene. So that is the process. So it is sometimes it is a little bit time consuming also, but it is very easy and it does not need any infrastructure or any investment. It has some, again, as every process has some advantage and some disadvantage. It has also some advantage, like this is very safe and very simple process. So making few layer of 2D material is very easy by this process. And the thing is, in this process, it is difficult to prepare high amount. Also, in some cases, it is difficult to maintain the thickness and also uniformity. So these are the limitations of this process, but still people use this process because this is very easy and safe, and it does not need any infrastructure, as I mentioned time and again. So anybody can start this kind of work from the next day only in his laboratory, in his college, in his university. Now this is a chemical exploration process, which we call Hamer's method. In particularly, it can nowadays says modified Hamer's method. So it is a process, it's chemical process by which we can prepare 2D kind of materials, particularly those which are layer structure. For them this is easier. If we wanted to produce graphene, then from graphite you have to start, and it's a basically you have to, as you know that graphite is layer structure, you have to peel off the layer one by one. So that peel off process is done by kind of oxidation and reduction process. So first is oxidation and then reduction, and by doing that it is possible to make single layer graphene and other kind of molybdenum sulfide kind of 2D materials which are basically in bulk layer structure. So in case of oxidation, actually this kind of graphene on graphite or molybdenum sulfide, they are mixed with some kind of strong acid, and they it kept for long time. Then it is again mixed with potassium permanganate, which is a oxidizing agent. Using that, we oxidize that graphite or molybdenum sulfide kind of things, and then start the reduction process. So by oxidizing, it is possible to prepare GO. Nowadays, GO is very famous graphene oxide. So from GO, you have, if you wanted to prepare this graphene, rather I must say this is reduced graphene oxide, RGO, then you have to reduce this using some kind of chemical solvent reduction, which has reduction power like hydrazine or sodium borohydride, NaBH4 kind of things. So using that, you can do that reduction process, and ultimately you will be end up with RGO, which is called reduced graphene oxide. So this process is a little bit cumbersome, and it needs some low temperature. So it has also some advantage and disadvantage. It is possible to make a high amount of material, 2D material, using this chemical process, and they are scalable, and that can be utilized, or that can be this process can be used in industrial scale also. Limitation is that it is not perfect graphene kind of things or perfect 2D kind of things. Some defects will be there always, and also again in this case also it is difficult to do single layer, so it will be few layer thick 2D material. These are the limitations of this process. So I have ultimately explained you three different most utilized process for making 2D material. Now I will talk a little bit about graphene, because as you know, among the 2D materials there are various kind of 2D material, as I have shown earlier, from starting from insulator to semiconductor to superconductor. But till date, as graphene was the beginning, till date graphene is most extensively done by the scientists. So I will give you a little bit more about the graphene. It is nothing but a single layer graphite, and it has really a groundbreaking things to do, and it has a capability to change the whole world. Am I audible? Everything is fine, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So look at the top figure. This whole figure is graphene. So it's a single layer carbon molecules structure. This is the graphene material, and the beauty is the whole carbon family can be created using this graphene. For example, if you mold the graphene structure in a particular fashion, then ultimately you will be end up with this C60, which we call buckyball. Okay, so that is possible from graphene only. You select a unit cell and you mold it, then it is possible to create this this structure which we call C60 or buckyball. It is again possible if you roll it. It is possible from same graphene to prepare single layer nanostructure. This called single layer nanotube rather, from the same graphene. So it is in case of C60 buckyball, it is kind of molding, and in case of this nanotube, it is kind of rolling of graphene structure, graphene sheet. And in this case, this is kind of this is a graphite structure. This is nothing but stacking one layer by another layer. So from graphene, you can prepare all the members of the carbon family very easily. Just you have to either you have to mold, you have to roll, or you have to stack one layer by one layer. So that is graphene. And while I will say that while you will do research on graphene, you should be clear of these few terms like graphene, this graphene oxide, and reduced graphene oxide. So let me clear your idea. If those who knows that is very well, but if you have any confusion, let me clear you all this idea, because if you go through any paper of 2D material, particularly on graphene based material, these are the terms which comes frequently. So graphene is nothing but single layer honeycomb structure of carbon molecule, and this graphene, it is basically kind of hydrocarbon of graphene structure. So their hydrogen atom will be attached alternatively, one in up and one in downside alternatively. So that is graphene. And then if we talk about this graphene oxide, particularly if we use chemical exfoliation process, as I mentioned you earlier, that in chemical exfoliation process, it is first oxidizing things, then reducing. So while oxidizing using potassium permanganate, it becomes single layer, that is fine, but a lot of oxygen and OH group will be linked with that, and other COOH kind of things will be there. So that is called graphene oxide. So in general, it says that it is graphene with lot of oxides group, though there are some other group, but it is graphene with lot of oxide group. That's why this is called graphene oxides. And from that, if you reduce using some kind of hydrazine or sodium borohydrate, then you will get reduced graphene oxide. We called it RGO. This is the structure of this reduced graphene oxide. In this case, almost all the oxides gone, but some functional things like oxygen or OH may remain there. So you can I hope that you can understand the difference between graphene oxide and reduced graphene oxide. And strictly speaking, there is difference in properties between graphene and reduced graphene. Both of them are graphene, but if you look at the structure, they have, in case of reduced graphene oxide, there is a possibilities of having some defect and also some oxygen and OH groups. So that will bring some different property so far this pure graphene structure is concerned. That's why graphene is different, reduced graphene oxide is different, graphene oxide is different, graphene is different. Hope I am clear, and if you have any doubt, I can discuss this issue again during the question and answer session. So this is the graphene structure as I have discussed. This is nothing but sp2 bonding, and the distance between carbon-carbon bond is around 0.142 nanometer, and from graphene to, if we go for this kind of graphite structure, in that case, the layer, this difference between the interlayer will be around 0.335 nanometer. But the beauty, why graphene is possible to prepare very easily, because this interlayer bonding is van der Waals bond, and that is very, very weak. So it is easily possible to break this van der Waals bond from the graphite and to make single layer or few layer graphene. So as I mentioned, the 2D material has different properties than their bulk material. So they are chemical, they are electrical, they are optical, they are electronics. Every property, mechanical, every property will be changed. In particular for graphene, the graphene is 1 atom thick and 100 times more chemically active, because you can understand that this is single layer, so all the atoms will be on the surface, so it will be more reactive. In case of electronics also, as I mentioned, this is graphene is semi-metal kind of thing, so it's a zero band gap semiconductor, you can say. So it is very much conducting, its electrical conductivity is very, very high, its thermal conductivity is also very, very high. So for optical property is concerned, graphene is very much transparent. It absorbs kind of 2 or 3% of light. So it is very, very transparent, and that's why this is very important for transparent, flexible devices. As this is single layer, that will be flexible. At the same time, as it can passes more than 97% of light, so it will be very transparent. So for flexible electronics, this is very, very important property. Its thermal conductivity is also very, very high, as it is mentioned. You can see that it is more than 10 to the power 3 times higher than normal thermal conductor. So these are the basic points about graphene, and which is different than its bulk counterpart, graphite. So in a nutshell, for graphene, the intrinsic advantages is its super electrical conductivity. It is 20 times much higher than silicon things, and also 10 times higher than copper things. And also its mechanical, which I did not mention earlier, mechanical property is very, very high. It is the so far it is the hardest material discovered by the scientist. It's much higher than diamond also. This is the hardest material. And also, as I mentioned, it only absorbs 2 to 3% light, so this is transparent. So these are the key points about the graphene, and using this property, scientists are trying to develop different devices. That's why graphene is that much interesting. Also, I will not go about details about this slide, but I must mention, because these things also come sometimes, like depending upon the surface activity, depending upon the rolling, graphene can be armchair kind of things or zigzag kind of things. You see in the armchair, if you see the end of this surface, this is like this kind of things. So that is called armchair. And in case of zigzag, this is like this. So graphene can be zigzag or can be armchair like of things. And in that case, particularly surface edge will be either armchair form or zigzag form. And depending upon this form, it can be semiconductor, it can be semi-metal, or it can be metallic also. So if you, as I mentioned earlier, that if you roll a graphene, you can prepare single layer carbon nanotube. So rolling is also important. If you roll in a particular fashion, zigzag fashion, then it will be zigzag carbon nanotube. It will be, if it is rolled in armchair fashion, then it will be armchair nanotube. If it is rolled along the axis of chiral angle, then it will be chiral type of single wall carbon nanotube. So that is the rolling point of things. From that, this zigzag or armchair or chiral can come. Now, one single slide about the structural characterization of graphene. See, graphene or 2D material can be characterized by using transmission electron microscope. You can really see that that kind of 2D structure. Also, from using FTIR, you can see that if that kind of bond is there, you can conclude that this is 2D material. So I am not showing that one. I am only showing Raman study of 2D material, particularly for graphene, because this is one of the, you can say, confirmative study which gives the characterization of graphene material. In case of Raman study for a graphene material, you will find 3 important peaks. Particularly, one is called D peak, another is G, and the other one is 2D. G band is nothing but this graphene vibration. They are vibrational CC bond vibration, which comes around 1580. So that is the G band, that is intrinsic. D band, D comes from disorder. So D band comes from, as this is 2D structure, I have mentioned that there remains a lot of defects. So D band is representative of the defects, and 2D bands, that is more intense band, and that comes because of resonance of that things, and that is again indication of these defects. And why I am talking about this 2D band, because the intensity matters for graphene in case of Raman study. The ratio of 2D bands, intensity of 2D band and G band, give you some idea about the layer thickness. As we said that theoretically graphene means it's a single layer, 2D material is single layer, but it is very difficult to really produce this single layer. So in maximum cases, this is few layer or multi-layer. So how that will be understood? So Raman study is one of the important study. If it is a really single layer, then this intensity ratio of 2D and G will be almost 2. But if it is a few layer, then it can be below 2 and it can be like 1 or 0.84 like things. And if it is very less like this 0.4 or less, so in that case it will be multi-layer. So by showing the intensity of 2D and G peak of Raman study, one can on principle guess how much thick that 2D material which he has prepared in laboratory. That's why Raman study for 2D material is very, very important. I hope I am able to clear the message, convey the message to you why Raman study is important and what are the 3 important bands of this Raman study, D, G and 2D bands, and what is their ratio implied. So this is the band structure. As you know that I have mentioned that in case of insulator of semiconductor, there is this is the valence band and this top one is the conduction band. So this is a kind of semiconductor or insulator and this is the gap. But for graphene, again I must say that this valence band and conduction band will meet at a particular point only. This is K point, and because of this meeting only, graphene is semi-metal kind of things. And as they have met, we call this a zero band gap semiconductor. And the most important part is if you can bring a certain gap on the graphene, means you have to separate it little bit, then only you will be able to use it in electronics. So the rule of the game is you have to increase the graph little bit, keeping all the other parameters almost fixed, like mobility, like this transparency, everything. So that is the rule of the game. Means as graphene is conducting, as graphene has a contacts in band gap in K point between the valence band and conduction band, it cannot be used because it will be like conductor. So it cannot be used in electronics. So you have to create some gap. So that is the rule. And if by doing some kind of functionalization, if you are able to create some gap, then it will really bring a sea change in electronics industry. That's why people are working on the functionalization of graphene. So you have to, the rule is you have to increase the gap. So graphene has a lot of application in medical line, in integrated circuit, in transistor, in transparent conducting electrodes, everywhere. Particularly graphene is nowadays most important thing. Not only graphene, some other 2D material is also most important for flexible sensor, flexible transparent electrodes and flexible transparent screen, so that like your TV will be folded and you can keep your TV in your pocket or in your bag, and when you are in moving and where you will stay, there you can just again unfold this screen and you can see your TV. So these are some of the application areas where this 2D material will play important role, and in future electronics will really change. Everything will really change based on this 2D material. That's why they are that much important. They have really potential to revolutionize in many electronic systems. So in a nutshell, graphene is unique structure. It has all-in-one properties. It is low cost. It is very much abundant. It is simple to fabricate. It is chemically inert and thermally stable. That's why among the 2D materials, graphene is mostly exploited, because graphene is really unique in terms of property, in terms of chemical stability, in terms of thermal stability, in terms of its price, and in terms of availability. So that's why graphene is almost covering more than 80% space of 2D material. Now I will show you a little bit of our activity, because it is again kind of rule of the game that while I am talking about something, I should at least say about something about our activity. So very briefly, I will show you some of our activity based on graphene or 2D related material. So this is one very good publication on graphene. Actually, what we have done in this paper, we have created multifunctionality in graphene decorated by cobalt nanorod. This is published in 2015. This is Journalist Materials and Design. If somebody is interested, he can note this reference, and he or she can go into this literature. I will not go into details, but I must say that yes, we are also involved in doing a lot of creating a lot of multifunctionality in graphene or graphene composite. So this is a very good publication, and the highlights of this publication is that we can produce luminescent cobalt graphene nanocomposite, and that composite shows magnetic properties also, though this is a super paramagnetic behavior, but that is also required. Particularly this luminescent and magnetic property combination of both can be used for biological labeling and MRI contrast agent. As you know, this carbon is a non-toxic material. That's why it could replace the nowadays used radioactive based material for biological labeling and MRI contrast. So that has this potential for replacing this kind of things which is used nowadays. So that's why this has very importance in practical application. So I am showing some properties of PL and magnetic properties, because we have called that this is a multifunctional things, graphene nanocomposite. So in the left hand side figure, you can understand that it can give various peaks in PL, means it indicates that it is possible various produce various light, like in this case we have produces violet and blue light in this PL, and also this is the magnetic hysteresis loop, which clearly demonstrate that at low temperature at 5K and 2K it is possible to create this kind of super paramagnetic particle, and they can be used as this MRI agent or this biological labeling agent, because both the optical and magnetic properties are there. So this is one important work done by our group. This is another work. This is also again magnetic properties of some graphene and cobalt nanomaterials. In fact, in this case, we have prepared different structure of cobalt, which is decorated in graphene. Different structure means we have prepared cobalt nanoparticles, we have prepared cobalt seeds, cobalt cube, and also cobalt rod kind of structure. So basic precursor is same. In this schematic diagram, I have shown the preparation technique. Basic precursor is same, but using different technique like hydrothermal, co-precipitation, and also using external magnetic field, we are able to produce this kind of different morphological cobalt nanoparticles decorated with graphene. And because of that different morphology, we are able to create different magnetic properties. So this TEM picture, high resolution TEM picture, clearly shows that this above case in this upper slot, this is nanoparticles only. This is the high resolution picture which shows the lattice fringes. I don't know whether it is clearly visible in your screen or not. These are the nanorods which we have prepared almost all in the same process by using some external magnetic field. As you can understand, by using external magnetic field, basically we have aligned these nanoparticles in particular direction. That's why this rod kind of structure has formed, and this is the high resolution structure which shows the splitting of this lattice fringes. This one is a nanocubic structure. This is also just by controlling the preparation process and parameters, nothing else. So all of them are graphene cobalt nanocomposite, where cobalt has different morphology. Graphene is same, the background is graphene, as you can understand. Background is same, but the cobalt nanoparticles are of different morphology, and because of that, we are able to create different functionalities. So left hand side figure is FTIR spectra, which shows the presence of C double band and C single bond. And I must say that though we have prepared this cobalt cube, rod, sphere, RGO, geo, there is no that much change, or there is no peak shift in case of FTIR, and also in case of Raman. This right hand side figure is Raman. There is change in intensity, of course, but there is no peak shift for this different morphology of cobalt nanoparticle. And the most interesting is because of that different morphology or different structure of this cobalt nanoparticle, we are able to create different kind of magnetic properties, different magnetic properties. You can see the graph, their magnetic moment. This is a hysteresis law at different temperatures, starting from low temperature 5K to 300K. But you see that magnetic moment value, saturation magnetic moment value is very much different. In this case, here it is almost 45 EMU per gram. In this case, this is when we prepared it hydrothermal process. This is around 30. And when we applied some magnetic field for prepared this nano rod, in that case, magnetic moment is little less. Means that in our prepared magnetic cobalt nano rod, magnetic properties is less, but it gives very good hysteresis loop at low temperature. So what I mean to say that by changing this morphology of this cobalt nanoparticle, we are able to tune the magnetic properties also. This is another work which is also light-induced tunable silver doping graphene RGO sheets. In this case, we have used one polymer matrix, and where we have shown that by illuminating in ordinary light, it is possible to deposit more and more silver nanoparticles, and by depositing that, it is possible to tune the luminescence property and this band gap also. Everything is possible. You see, this is the optical properties, and you see after exposure this is blue, and in this case this is for graphene oxide. They are also after exposure because of the presence of these silver nanoparticles, because we have exposed on light, so silver nanoparticle has deposited, so the intensity has increased. And in case of RGO also the same is noted. And if you look into this solution, you see after exposure, this was the initial without exposure, and after exposure it is become more dark. And this one, this figure 4, this is again when we have stopped this exposing light. After sometimes it again becomes very clear. That means that silver nanoparticles has again converted. So it is kind of it can be used kind of photochromatic kind of things. So that is one important study. Also, we have done another study which where we have shown that the blue photoluminescence can be enhanced in case of cobalt graphene nanocomposite. That is another work, and that has been published very recently in this Applied Physics A. If somebody is interested, then he or she can look into this publication also. This is a group activity. Myself along with some other group, we are doing this. Here again we have prepared this similar cube nanoparticles and rod of this cobalt, and ultimately we have shown that it is possible that to enhance the blue emission for different morphology. And in case of, you can see that blue one in case of this cube where cobalt nano cubes is decorated with in graphene structure, we can get maximum blue emissions. So that blue emission can be tuned by changing, as I have shown, by changing the morphology or the structure of the cobalt particle which is decorated in graphene structure. It is possible to change magnetic properties. In our earlier work we have shown. In this case we are showing that again this luminescence property, particularly this blue emissions can be tuned, intensity of blue emissions can be tuned, and it can be enhanced by again changing the morphology, and we got maximum blue emissions in case of cubes only, cobalt cubes. So these are the few works which we are doing in our group. I have not shown all the things, just to show as a thumb rule that we have to show something as I am saying on this. So that indicates that yes, we are also doing on the same area and we are getting some good results. So I have came to almost end towards my talk. So here I will highlight or I will just touch some of other 2D materials, because till now I have shown you graphene related things, because as I said that graphene till date among the 2D material research, more than 80% is graphene. That's why I have highlighted some things about graphene, so that at least you can, at the end of my lecture, you can understand what is graphene and why these are so important and what are the activities going on and what we are also doing in our group. So that is all about graphene. Other than graphene also, there are, as I mentioned, there are various kind of 2D materials starting from insulator to superconductor, and among them boron, hexagonal boron nitride and molybdenum disulfide is very, very important. So I will say a little bit about these two. So if we look at the electrical properties of these 2D materials, you see graphene is, as I said, it is two-dimensional, this is semi-metal, and if it is hexagonal boron nitride, then it is completely insulator. But in case of molybdenum disulfide, in case of gallium selenide, in case of bismuth selenide, they are basically semiconductor in nature. So what is molybdenum disulfide? This is basically a metal chalcogenide, and in case of 2D, its appearance and fields of molybdenum disulfide is very similar to graphite, and it has wide application as a lubricant, because as a lubricant it has certain more important property than even graphene also. Graphene can also be used, but this molybdenum disulfide is most important as a lubricant. So these are the key parameters about the molybdenum disulfide. That's why people are interested on molybdenum disulfide, like excellent gate controls, its saturation is excellent, scalability means you can produce in large quantity, also high current capability, very low noise, wide direct band gap. So these are the properties. This is also transparent and flexible. So these are the some key properties of molybdenum disulfide. That's why this is also important, and it has also huge application on different field. Then hexagonal boron nitride, as I mentioned, this is insulator, but it has also some other important properties. I am not going into details. That's highlighting some properties. This is high crystal quality is very high. This atomically very smooth surface, and also in the surface there are a lot of free states, so you can functionalize it very easily. Its thermal conductivity is high, so it has also certain use. That's why people are interested on this hexagonal boron nitride also. And the most important thing is both molybdenum disulfide and hexagonal boron nitride, both of them are layer structured, and that's why it is possible to make them 2D. As I said earlier also, it is easier to make them 2D. That's why people are also working on these materials mostly. Now I will say, I will just mention some new kind of 2D materials like indium selenide, titanium sulfide, black phosphor. I have mentioned there are some properties also for indium selenide. This is this this is band gap between 1.4 to 2.8, and similarly titanium sulfide is also has some important properties. Black phosphorus also has some important properties. They are upcoming 2D material. They are called new 2D material. People are working on this, and their properties are not that much till date explored. So people are working, and I hope that in near future also they will show a lot of other functionalities, and they can be used in for different applications. So I have come to the end of my talk. I just say that yes, we have. I have talked lot of things about 2D material, and people are working a lot of things, a lot of issues on 2D material. But still, there are a lot of challenges which has to be unlocked before thinking or before going for any device application, and before going for their market application, like using in the real device. So getting things in the market is will take little more time, because one has to this challenge, one has to remove or unlock these challenges, like preparation of 2D material. Though I have mentioned, I have shown you 3 processes like mechanical exploration, chemical exploration, and also this MOCVD kind of things or CVD kind of thing. But till date, it is very costly. handling is also very difficult, and in most of the cases yield is very low. So one has to be very careful about preparation method so that it can be scalable. Means industry people will be only interested if it is scalable, if they can produce in bulk quantity, so that it will be cheaper, and also it has to be a user friendly process so that it can be environment friendly and anybody can prepare that material. It does not need that kind of skilled manpower. So for application, though it has a lot of application in transparent electrode, transparent this screen on electronics everywhere, but before going to that kind of application, one has to unlock all those issues. So I have came to end. So I must thank our group member for doing this kind of activity, which has really lot of impact in near future. And also I thank our financer like DST, CSR, Government of India for giving some kind of project support for doing this kind of work. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Minal Pal, for your nice talk. Especially, it's an overview kind of thing, and give overall the status of the research in the two-dimensional material. So now it's time for interactions. I request the participants to put their questions on the chat box, and request Professor Pal to go through the questions, if any.
Yeah, so Professor Hussain, so far this chat box is there. I don't think there is any.
Now, there is a questions by
Okay,
Minhaj Ansari.
okay,
What is the difference between the density of states in 1D and 0D case?
yeah, that I have shown in my presentation also. So I don't know whether my presentation is available or not to you. Is it available?
No. Now I think it's minimized. Only your screen we can see. So you just yes,
So it's coming.
yes.
Okay. So I have mentioned. Okay, let me little bit clear it little bit. Yeah. So in case of 3D material, I have said that density of state, if you plot density of state with respect to energy, then it will be like this, a continuous curve. But in case of 2D material, this is continuous, but it's a state-like. If you see that this is state-like. And in case of 1D material, this is very peculiar. This is very sharp and then sharp fall. And in case of zero dimensional, which are quantum dot, this is that single line only. It's not continuous. This is discrete single line. And because of that only, all the electrical property varies with dimension of any material. So this is important. This figure one has to understand. And if one can understand, then only it will be easier to understand the electrical property of materials and their change with their dimension. Okay.
There are other questions.
Yes.
What will be the role of graphene on hydrogen storage devices?
Yes, this is a very good question. Yeah, I didn't mention that because that does not belongs to our activities also. But as I am informed and as the literature says, is it has lot of because you can understand also for hydrogen, for anything storage you need some space, and in case of graphene you can see that it's a honeycomb like structure and the carbon atoms are only on the corners. And so medium space is really vacant, and in that space one can on principle store many things. So literature says that graphene has huge possibilities to store hydrogen also, but honestly saying we are not working on that dimension, but it has a huge scope for storing hydrogen.
By Dr. Swati Mehra, AFM software used. Is it MATLAB, sir? Where layers are clarified as 1D, 2D, sir? Secondly, scope of nickel chalcogenides as work done is less.
Yeah, regarding first question is on what?
AFM software used. Is it MATLAB, sir?
I have no idea because we are basically experimentalist. We don't use any software. We just prepared material and then by checking some kind of, by doing some characterization on FTIR, on Raman, on TAME, we just characterize whether that is graphene or 2D material or single layer or multi-layer kind of things. We don't use any software because we are hardcore experimentalist. And regarding your second point, which is on some particular material, I think.
Nickel chalcogenides.
Yeah, nickel
Yes.
chalcogenides is less explored. In chalcogenides, mainly molybdenum disulfide has been explored because of its some typical properties which I have mentioned in our in my presentation also. Nickel chalcogenide is very less explored because till date, as I mentioned, that mostly people are more than 80% works are on graphene because there are so many things to settle and so many things to discover on graphene only. That's why people are more interested on graphene only. But still, people are working on some other materials. In chalcogenides, it is mostly on molybdenum disulfide, and these are the properties which is presently is on your screen. You can see these are the important properties for molybdenum disulfide. That's why people are interested on molybdenum disulfide till date, and there is hardly any work on nickel chalcogenide disulfide.
What is minimum and maximum cost involved in mechanical exfoliation method?
See, when I described all the experimental process, I have mentioned also several times that on principle, for particularly for mechanical explosion, there is no cost involved because graphite is available everywhere. If you even use some broken pencil tip also, that is also nothing but graphite, and from that is also graphite. So from that graphite, on principle, using just some scotch tape, if you know the process, because you have to do it repeatedly, time and again, because initially along with the adhesive side, if you press it this on graphite surface, many layers will come out in the adhesive surface. Then you have to again press it on another surface, then again another surface. By that way, you have to decrease the thickness of the layer, and ultimately the shining nature will go, and that indicates that you have came up with few layers kind of things. So that is the process, and honestly speaking, it does not need any infrastructure or any cost.
Then can you please let us know which is better 2D materials among MOSE2, WS2, WSE2, and why, sir?
See, best 2D material till date is graphene, as I said, and that's why people are more interested on that. And the second one is MOS2, molybdenum disulfide, because you can see that their properties is completely not only new in respect to their bulk counterpart, they are very much enhanced on many aspects, and which are not possible to able till date able to achieve in other 2D materials. So number one is graphene, and number two, in my opinion, this is molybdenum disulfide.
Then how we can control the band gap of 2D materials?
Yeah. See, actually, other than graphene, the 2D materials which I have mentioned other than graphene family, most of them are basically a semiconductor or insulator kind of things. They are just by changing the number of layers. I have shown in my presentation at the beginning that you can, just by changing the layer, you can control the band gap. Yes. So my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. You look at this layer, this structure. This is first layer, single layer. This is 2 layer. This is 3 layer. This is bulb. So by changing the number of layer, you can tune on principle the band gap. Also, by changing the morphology, you can tune the band gap. And in case graphene only, because graphene is semi-metal, so other than graphene, everything is semiconductor or an insulator. So there it is more easily possible to tune the band gap. Only in case of graphene, which I have mentioned earlier, that in case of graphene, the rule of the game is you have to increase the band gap, because in case of graphene, you see that at K point, this valence band and conduction band has a contact. That's why they are semi-metal. You know the difference between metal and semi-metal. Semi-metal is kind of material where conductivity will be almost at par with metal, but it's not, the band will not be overlap at all the points. Only in one point they will be overlap at K point. That's why that is called semi-metal. And in case of graphene, you have to disjoin them. And how that is possible? Doing some kind of functionalization, it is possible. That's why people are working on not only pure graphene, either this is few layer or some functionalized graphene. Because if it is pure graphene, it will conduct everything, then it will not be suitable for electronics application. That's why you have to change the contact, and you have to increase the gap. That's why this is the rule of the game.
Then how could we distinguish between one-dimensional and two-dimensional as per Moore's law and Bose-Einstein theory?
As per
Moore's law and Bose-Einstein theory.
I am not sure how this 1D and 2D will be able to distinguish by Bose-Einstein's theory, because I never look into that. I'm not sure also, because in mostly people distinguish between single layer, double layer, few layer, multi-layer on the basis of band structure only, particularly for 2D cases. So I'm not sure how that will be distinguished by using both theories.
Then how to enhance the flame retardant properties of polymer graphene composites? Any specific polymer will give best result?
Yeah, it is nothing, but it's very easy. It is nothing but changing composition or changing material. When you are talking about polymer composite, polymer and graphene, either you have to change composition as per your required property, or you have to change polymer, because by changing polymer you can tune the property, by changing composition also you can tune the property. That is very easy, and that we have proven several times. Also, a lot of literature are available in these regards.
Is there any topological insulator properties shown by boron nitrides?
Topological insulating property, boron nitride, at least I didn't came up, because I'm not that much interested on boron nitride, and I did not work I have no work on boron nitride, so I'm not sure. Till date, what I have done only on graphene and its composites with polymer or some kind of trisal metal like iron, cobalt, nickel, and I have tuned their morphology.
Then I see similar questions which already replied by you.
Yeah.
Can you please let us know which is better 2D material, MOS to this? Already I think you have
It is always till date it is the graphene is the number 1, and molybdenum disulfide is the number 2.
Could I know which deposition techniques are suggested for fabricating 2D thin films?
Yeah, see, on principle there are many processes, but I must say, if you think about deposition process, the most suitable one is CVD. Most suitable one. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Otherwise, it is very difficult because we are talking about 2D material, not bulk material. Bulk material can be prepared by any kind of deposition process, but for 2D, most suitable is CVD. But I don't know the person who has participant who has asked this question whether he or she has this kind of facilities or not. But CVD needs some some space, some money involved is there. Earlier CVD was very costly. Nowadays a lot of Indian manufacturers also produce CVDs, but still it needs some cost involvement. Best is using this chemical extrusion process for doing this 2D material.
Then Dr. Swati Mehra requested to show the earlier slides, and other also requested for PPT. So
Which slide?
maybe she joined late. So she was asking to show the initial slides, and some others they requested for PPT. So if possible,
PPT I will send you, and
Okay.
those who looks for, or you can send to everybody. I have no problem because
yeah,
though
that it's better. I think I will share with the participants.
Yes. I will make it in PDF because PPT is huge amount. I don't
Yes.
think it will go. I will make it PDF and I will send it to you just after my lecture. Only thing is, almost all the data are published in my case. I'm not sure. I have to check if there is some unpublished data that I have to taken out, and then I will make the PDF and I will share with everybody. In fact, I will give it to you and you will be able to share to everybody. So that is the regarding my PPT.
So one more question I see.
Yeah.
What is the difference between 2D boron nitride and 2D borofen?
2D boron nitride and 2D
Borofen. Is it borofen? I don't know.
I have no idea also. Because I told you that till date we have worked on graphene, and we are working on graphene only because graphene is itself like a sea. So we are just swimming in the sea at the shore only. So many things are there to be unexplored. That's why we are not interested on other 2D materials, and we are not till date we have not done anything on this. Only thing is that just somebody was asking about the initial slides, na?
No, if we share the slides, then it's
So
okay.
I don't need to show it again.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So if I request the participants, if you have any other questions, you can contact with Professor Pal by
my
email.
mail address is there. I have given it.
It's there in the website also, so you can.
It is there in website also, and you can contact me directly. I will be happy to answer you all.
So let's thanks Professor Pal for giving your valuable time and illuminating us with this exciting field of research. Thank you very much, sir. And hope in near future also we will have you with us. So thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Dr. Pal, thank you, Dr. Hussain. So moving towards ahead, our next session will be started from 2:30 p.m. So right now we are going to have our lunch. After the lunch, we'll meet at 2:15. All the participants are requested to join the meeting by 2:15, and at 2:30 we'll be going ahead with our second session by Dr. S.A. Hussain. Thank you.